Corey from the $1 Million Secret had a good chance, a very good chance of winning the money. But where he went wrong is that he didn't think out of the box and he was very predictable. And Cara read him like a book. Initially, I was kind of thinking that he was too emotional in this game, but slowly but surely, he started to be a bit more strategic and we started to see that strategic side in him, which made me think that he may be a contender. Then we get towards the end and his focus is now on Sam, even though I feel like Cara, who was the millionaire at the end, was so obvious. And I just feel like it took him way too long to clock on that it was Cara. And when he did clock that it was Cara, he still had enough time to act on it. But where he went wrong is that he outed himself as being onto Clara. He got Cara suspicious. And I would just be thinking, if you think that she's got the money, it's not an elimination thing. You don't know what it's going to be. So you don't want to, show all your cards. I can't remember whether they said the rules to the final before it happened or, at the final elimination. I can't remember when they revealed the rules to the game. But I had a feeling it was going to be something like moving the money boxes. So from that point on, if I know I'm going to the final, I'm not going to be letting people know who I think is the millionaire, especially if it's one of my allies. So like I said, at the end, he kind of clocked that it was Cara. Cara was moving very suspicious. And I feel like Cara pretty much outed herself to Corey. And she outed herself in the situation where she basically admitted that she threw the challenge to ensure that her, Corey, and Sam would be in the final. Now, that alone strategically kind of makes sense. But at the same time, it's a big risk. But ultimately, she knew that they were going to save her. But then at the same time, did it really matter if she won or not? She should have just taken that chance. But then, I guess it's the whole thing of like, who would she want in the final? Maybe she would rather Sam and Corey in the final than Sydney. That kind of makes sense, knowing that Sam and Corey would save Cara. But at the same time, it's a risk. We're playing for $1 million. Why would you put yourself at risk of elimination? You don't know what Sam and Corey are going to do. That's just your intuition. But for me personally, I wouldn't risk that. And I would have to get rid of someone. But then, at the same time, she knew that Sydney was onto her. She knew Sydney was onto her. So, that is a strategic play. But Cara trying to admit that and almost trying to get some leverage of trust over Corey and Sam at this stage where only one of them is going to get the money and everybody's a contender here. And she's talking about, oh, you should trust me, you should trust me. Very suspicious. That whole conversation would have made me suspicious. And Corey was suspicious and he basically was low-key interrogating Cara. So when he started interrogating Cara's thinking, oh shit, like my whole act isn't working on him. Now he's suspicious of me. And that's when Cara knew that Corey was onto him. And Corey was thinking, oh, I'm not going to act like I'm onto Cara. I'm going to double down on Sam. But you already outed yourself as suspicious. And he didn't really think at that point. Because I was thinking, why would you ask her all of these questions to make her feel suspicious? You should be now doubling down on Sam and being like, yeah, I think it's Sam. I still think it's Sam. I know it's not you. I think it's Sam. So I feel like that's where Corey went wrong because he now made Cara feel like he was onto her, which he was. So Cara's intuition was on point. So at this point, I think Corey knew low-key that Cara was now suspicious of him being onto her. So in the final showdown or whatever it is, Cara goes in on him and she's acting very odd. So yeah, at the final showdown or whatever, when they're meant to be trying to convince people whose boxes to go in, Cara says that she's going to act very obvious so that Corey is suspicious of her and basically knows that it's in her box so that he basically chooses her box so she can swap it back. That was her game plan. And she was basically like, she feels like that's what he's going to do. So basically, he tries to act like he's suspicious of Sam, but Cara already knows that he's onto her. And the fact that she goes for Corey should have been a sign to Corey that Cara knows that you know. And he ended up doing exactly what Cara thought he was going to do. Because the same way she was being obvious, he was also being obvious. He's now trying to go in Sam to try and feel like, oh, I'm acting like I don't think that you're the millionaire, and I'm really just going to steal your box, and you're going to think that I'm choosing Sam's box, and then you're going to keep your money where it is. I definitely would have double bluffed. And I'm not saying that just because I know what the result is, but I would have double bluffed. And I wouldn't have moved the box, and I would have hoped that Cara thought that I was dumb and swapped boxes, and I would have won the money. And that's what Carl should have done. He should have thought outside the box, but he didn't. Cara knew how simple-minded he was. And that's how she ended up winning, because Corey was just so predictable. Painfully predictable. And it honestly made it an easy win for Cara, I have to say. But I've got to hear from you guys. What would you have done? Would you have done what Corey did? Would you have double bluffed it? Be honest, because I actually have a reaction of me up on my page of what I would have done to prove that I would have double bluffed. I mean, is that a double bluff? I think so. I think that qualifies as a double bluff. And yeah, where did it go wrong for Corey? Were you surprised that he lost the money? Were you kind of not surprised? I gotta hear from you guys.